just had myself in a complete stress vortex of this is never going to end and I don't know how I'm going to get out of it. And it was completely tied to finances. Like I could look at any other aspect of my life and be like, I feel good here. I feel good here. I feel good here. I do not feel good in this very ginormous thing that is sucking my joy. And so it really impacted my mental health. And I would say I'm just now coming out of that, but it's traumatic.
Welcome to the Know Your Worth show, where we teach you how to think about your money differently so that you can achieve your sexy money goals. I'm Sydney, your money maven and owner of Know Your Worth.
And I'm Kristen, Sid's dime piece bestie, team member, and busy mom of twins, here to make sure that those of us without a financial degree can still level up with each episode. Let's get started on reaching your next goal.
Hello. Welcome to the Know Your Worth podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Sydney Conway.
And I am Sid's bestie and assistant, Kristen, and podcast co-host.
Yeah. Welcome to episode 30 of the Know Your Worth podcast. Woo!
We did it. We stuck with something episodes. For 30 episodes.
2 weeks? Because it's been like 32 weeks since we've started this.
Guys.
Wow. So super
we're
exciting.
We're a beacon of consistency.
And so we're 32 episodes in. This is our 30th episode, but we're 32 weeks of recording in.
Yes.
Yeah. Very exciting.
Congrats. Is it too early for champagne?
No, absolutely not. All right. So our episode today is the kickoff of Mental Health Awareness Month.
Love that.
Yeah. We felt like this was a very appropriate place to talk about mental health awareness and how it ties into money and finances. They absolutely go hand in hand.
Yeah. So we wanted to kick off with managing financial stress and anxiety and share some personal anecdotes of times that we have felt that stress and what it's looked like in our lives, and just open the conversation. Because sometimes I feel like there's a little shame around money management or money trauma or money troubles. And so we keep it in, and that's really detrimental to your mental health. So we're going to open the door. We're going to open the floodgates.
Absolutely. And this podcast is Know Your Worth for a reason. Know your worth, understand your value. And a lot of that comes from your own mental health and being aware of how that's connected to your finances. So that's where we come in.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
So we were going to share, I think one of the things is you get stuck in your head about, I'm the only one. I'm the only one that can't manage my money. I'm the only one who's made these mistakes. I'm the only one who is suffering in this way. So we're going to share a couple statistics that'll help you realize that you're not.
Yes, absolutely. There are a couple really, I think, eye-opening statistics that I think are really important for our listeners to know, but I also make sure that our clients, when these things come up with them, that I tell them these statistics because it is really eye-opening. So for some of them, we have some of our statistics written down. So let me take a look at which ones we want to start with here. In the United States, so all these statistics are in America, 28% of Americans have less than $1,000 in their savings account, which that one really shocked me. 28% have less than $1,000. So a quarter of the population, and these are adults, these are not children, we're not talking babies. These are adults in America. Only a quarter of Americans have less than $1,000 in their savings account.
Yeah. We found that 8% of a household budget is in healthcare costs,
which is a lot.
It's a lot.
Policymakers get on that. I don't know how. I don't have the answers to that one, but that's a lot of money dedicated to healthcare. And
that's probably if you are lucky and you don't have an excessive chronic issue that you're dealing with or something terrible like that. So
I think that's probably majority is just related to your monthly insurance payments.
I know ours are asinine.
Yeah, ours were insane when Alex worked at the prior company, right when I went full-time Know Your Worth, and he was at Northwestern Mutual, and their policy was created based on the average age of the employees at Northwestern Mutual, which was like 58-year-old men who weren't in the best health. So we were paying like, I think $1,300 to $1,500 a month just for the two of us. And we never went to the doctor at that point.
Wow.
So that was terrible. So that's definitely one of the things to look into. Just a quick side note as going into the market or private companies for health insurance.
Yeah.
Ours is insanely affordable now.
Yeah. 55% of Americans have a retirement, which means
only half of the population is planning for retirement. That's significant. There's a big gap. And we're talking mental health awareness. So if you don't have a retirement plan in place, if you don't have a retirement account, make a plan. That's one of those things. So it's just start with a plan. Start with a plan. Figure out what your plan is for retirement. Don't be a part of that 45% of the population that doesn't have any retirement plans.
Yeah. And then we found that $67,000 is the median debt for a household.
Yeah, which is significant.
Yeah. And that it really impacts mental health, and it shows where we are as a society, and you are not alone. So if you're somebody who is struggling with any of these things, we're here to talk about it and talk about some of the triggers, some of the things that are the psychological effects of these statistics, and give you some tips for moving forward.
So some of the triggers that come with the stress and anxiety around your mental health and related to your finances are your debt. What debt are you carrying? Is it credit card? Is it student loans? Those are two of the biggest ones that we know cause a lot of anxiety. There can also be, your mortgage payment. Did you get a little bit in over your head with your house or with your car payment? So debt, job loss. Have you lost your job? Has your partner lost their job? And so now you're not so sure where that income is coming from. How are you going to be able to afford your lifestyle or provide for your family? Inadequate savings is a big one too. Whenever unknown things come up and you don't have a plan for them, we don't have that emergency fund started or prepared. And then just unexpected expenses. The dog has to go to the vet, things like that we don't plan for and are a really big bummer when they do come up. We pop a tire or we get into a car accident. There are a lot of things that can come up that really can be triggering experiences to a lot of people.
Absolutely. And so some of the things that you might see or experience, social withdrawal, like I'm embarrassed about my situation, or I don't have the funds to be around people, go out to dinner with my friends, do those things. Just like the anxiety and stress and depression that comes with all those feelings, just making you not want to be around other people.
Risk-taking behaviors is a big one too. So if you think I'm going to gamble and I'm going to try to get back these funds by participating in risky behaviors, things that you're doing this all or nothing approach, or risk-taking behaviors in terms of, are you turning to outlets that aren't healthy for you and your mental health in order to cover up the financial issues and trauma that you've experienced?
Can impact your relationships if it's within your marriage or within your friendships. It can really take a toll there as well.
So if you're someone that's experiencing some of these, you have any anxiety, insomnia, are you not able to sleep because of it? Are your relationships being impacted? Are you participating in risky behavior? Are you withdrawing from your friends and family? We have some strategies that we think might be helpful for you.
Yeah. And before we even get to that, let's make ourselves a little more human.
Yeah.
Like instead of sounding like a commercial for the side effects for a drug.
Yeah.
If you're experiencing insomnia, stress, diabetes.
Yes.
So maybe we could share like a time where financial stress or anxiety manifested and how we behaved or our mental health.
Yeah. I've definitely had the insomnia, not being able to sleep because of financial situations. And there's been a couple different times where I myself was in credit card debt before Alex and I were together. And it was one of those times where I felt like it was astronomical. Like no one was going to understand what I was talking about. Nobody could gather this. I was so embarrassed. And looking back, it was maybe $2,000-$3,000 of credit card debt that I was just losing, like hyperventilating about, had acid reflux over. And at the time, it felt insane. And looking back, I just want to laugh at myself and say, Sydney, there's so many resources available to you at that point. That's so silly. But it wasn't at the time. It was really anxiety inducing for me. Moving forward into that, Alex and I opened up a co-working space. We put everything for this space on credit cards. And at that point, we were $30,000 in credit card debt. And we've been over that. It really takes a toll on your mental state. And then knowing that when I'm anxious about things, I typically channel that into obsessive compulsive behaviors. And to me, that was luckily work. I know that was where my obsessive compulsive really came out, and focusing on getting that money back. I had a healthier approach to it in terms of making the money back, but it still wasn't, I'm sure it wasn't fun to be around me for a lot of people during that time frame. And a lot of my friends and family probably had no idea why I was probably short with them or temperamental, and I was losing sleep over it. And we made a plan and we got out of it, but that doesn't always make it easier when you're in it either.
No, I agree. For me, most recently, I was the sole income provider for my family for 5 years. And that was really stress inducing to look at my kids and know the expenses that came with them. It was the feeling of being stuck in the survival of the day to day rather than planning for the future or saving, debt increasing, and just the feeling of being in quicksand and fighting like hell to get out of it. But just the more you fought, sometimes it felt like the deeper I would sink. And I definitely experienced, like, if I would wake up in the middle of the night, I would think, don't think about money, don't think about money, don't think about money. Because if I thought about money, it was game over for sleep for me for the night. Appetite loss, not wanting to be around people, just had myself in a complete stress vortex of this is never going to end and I don't know how I'm going to get out of it. And it was completely tied to finances. Like I could look at any other aspect of my life and be like, I feel good here. I feel good here. I feel good here. I do not feel good in this very ginormous thing that is sucking my joy. And so it really impacted my mental health. And I would say I'm just now coming out of that, but it's traumatic. And I think we're going to talk a lot about that too.
Absolutely. It definitely is. It definitely is. And this is something that I never wanted to come across, that I'm making light of the stress or trauma that comes with money. No, I was in credit card debt and I got out of it. This is a skill set of mine. So this is my job.
You're like Liam Neeson, like,
you know, like
specific.
Yeah, I have a certain set of skills.
Yes.
So whenever I'm saying I was in it and got out, this is where my head's at. So I understand the tools and the resources available to me. So know that when you're hearing me talk about things, I'm giving you the tools and resources. I'm not making light or saying, oh, it's so easy. It's not easy. But this is what my skill set is. This is where my brain works. This is what I do on a day-to-day basis. So I just wanted to make sure I put that asterisk next to it. We got into $30,000 of credit card debt for this space because I had a plan to get out of it, that from the beginning. Other instances we've gotten into things where we didn't have a plan in the beginning and it was very unintentional, but we created a plan and we stuck to the plan and we got out of it because I had all the tools and resources available to me.
Which is why you have the podcast.
Right. Exactly. I want to make sure I put that note out there. When you're listening to this, know that, again, this is my job. This is what I do. Like I always respect, I'm going to not say, oh, you should respect me because of this, but like the trainers that have been in those situations where they've been fit, but then they've gained the weight and lost the weight to show what works and what doesn't work and how things impact. I do think that whenever you're looking for people that resonate with you, you need to know where they come from and know that they had the tools to help themselves too. So when you're listening to this, that's where I wanted to be coming from of I've been in these situations. I use these tools and resources myself and was able to keep moving forward and fix the space that I was in.
Yeah. And to vouch to that point, like you're the first person that I sat down with and I was like, this is the reality of my situation. You're probably the only person who knows the reality of my situation besides the person that I'm married to. And so when I sat down with you, like the shame was like suffocating. Like, do you remember I bawled my eyes out? And you were there you acted like I told you that I bought $40 worth of things at Target that day and I was mad at myself. You were like, it's fine. Yeah. There's a way to get out and there are things to do. And you helped me set that plan and you helped me put that plan in motion and you never judged me or made me feel like I should be as ashamed as I was making myself feel. So I think when you are seeking out support for this, you're going to know if you're talking to the right person or not within the first 10 seconds. Yeah. And your gut will lead you in that direction.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now you understand better, like both of our stances on where we're coming from, I think, on it.
Definitely. And a couple of the things that we just said too align with some of these strategies that we have kind of laid out a little bit. First one would be create a budget, create a financial plan. Of course, that's number one, easy. Like you probably know that. Create a budget. That's what everybody says to do. Create a financial plan. That's what everyone says to do. Truly sitting down. And again, we've talked about this in prior episodes. So go back to our episode on creating a budget. Go back and listen to that one about a budget can be as simple as knowing the ins and outs of your bank account. How much comes out every month? And to support that, how much needs to go into it? Can you cut down what comes out of it? If you can't, then you need to increase what goes into it. Simple as that. Create a budget, create a financial plan. You can do it. Eat the Frog. It's a good book if you haven't read the book.
Love that book, yeah.
Eat that frog. make the plan, make the budget, or just start absorbing the resources to guide you towards that point.
And we said before we started talking about this, there are going to be some people that listen that are only in the I need to get motivation stage. And there are going to be some people who listen who are like, I need to go to that episode directly and make the budget and start doing it. So no matter where you fall on the spectrum, like we're here to support you. So maybe you're just in the, I'm just fact gathering right now.
Yeah.
Like I'm not ready to look at my money. I'm not ready to look at it. Although I will tell you, as somebody who was not ready to look for a really long time, it's not as bad as
eat the frog.
Eat the frog. Like
eat the frog.
It's so much scarier in theory, and you actually feel more in control when you do look at it and make the plan. And control will help you calm the anxiety. But when you're ready to hear that.
Yes. I'm going to skip this next one and go to what we have, because I feel like we've touched on these next two.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is a good one for the end, to wrap it up with the last two. So the third one, but we're talking about second, is going to be focus on what you can control. We've said that a couple times. Eat the frog. Focus on what you can control. That is, I think that's one of my philosophies towards life. I always thought when I was growing up, I had no anxiety. Like I was like, oh, I'm never anxious. Like I have no anxiety. And then I started my first job and I was just getting like nauseous. And I'd be like, wow, why am I so nauseous? You know, like, let me go eat a ginger chew, you know?
Lactose intolerant? I
yeah, really. So then I remember talking to one of my friends about it. I'm like, yeah, I just keep getting so nauseous through the day. And they're like, it's busy season. That happens to me all the time too. Like you have anxiety. And I'm like, oh. I always like was really proud of myself for not having anxiety. You know, like I thought I was like, oh, I'm not one of those people that gets anxious about stuff. When
spoiler alert,
not true. Lots of it. But my anxiety is very different than other people's. Just like everybody's anxiety is very different. But focusing on what you can control, I think this is where something I try to live by this of what can I do right now that affects this feeling? Like I can't change this feeling. So what can I change right now? What can I do right now? So the things that I typically get really anxious about is my day today. That's my anxiety is very present. I don't get a lot of anxiety surrounding the future. And I don't get a lot of anxiety surrounding the past. What decisions I have made, what decisions I will make, those things don't give me anxiety. I'm a very present thinker, but I get anxiety about the present. I feel overwhelmed today, feel stressed today. So I know that's how I think. If you're somebody that gets a lot of anxiety over the future, you need to find some tools and resources that help you control the anxiety over the future. A lot of times that's creating a really solid plan for the future. If you're somebody that gets anxiety over the past, journaling is a big way to write things through, write down how you're feeling in that moment, how you would process it for the next time so that the past doesn't haunt you.
I'm a past anxiety.
You're a past anxiety?
And I let the shame of decisions that I make fuel my anxiety. And my dad has this saying, and he always says, you did the best you could at the time with the information that you had.
Yep.
And so I think there's a lot of forgiving yourself for decisions you made, because if we all had like a magic 8-ball and we could have made a different decision on things that we didn't, we wouldn't choose the situations that we're in most likely.
Yeah.
But whatever you did at the time to survive, I'm sure that you employed all of your best strategies that you had. And so living back there and shaming yourself isn't helping your future, and it isn't helping your present.
Yeah.
But I had to really get over that with money too. And I'm not really even over it. So I'm going to watch this episode and practice what I preach.
And so then where my anxiety is very present of what can I do right now? And if I feel like I can't do anything right now, that's where I get, oh man, what am I going to do?
You're going to spiral.
Yes. So for me, I think that's part of the reason why I love Excel spreadsheets and I love planning, because if I can make a plan today, I'll feel much better about it. So that's how I control my anxiety is I know that's how I am. I'm very, oh my gosh, today feels so overwhelming. Tomorrow feels so overwhelming. Next week is going to be insane. And that's about the extent of it for me. It's like almost like a 2-week window of that's where my anxiety is. I don't really stress over about the next 6 months, year. I don't really stress about the last week. It's truly like a yesterday, today, tomorrow is the main thing for me. So I think figuring out, again, where yours comes from and thinking the tools to come through it. So if you're someone that's like me and like the present day anxiety is, what am I going to do today? And when it feels very overwhelming, if you create a plan for the day, you can move on from it. If you do a tactic for that day, you can move on from it. If you don't feel like you can do anything in that day because there are too many buckets, that's where you're going to crawl under the sheets and just
rot.
ADHD rot. That's what I'll do sometimes.
Me too.
And then the next day, I'm not so much stressed about the day before. Again, I'm stressed about that day because to me, I can think again, oh, I needed that day. I can validate it to myself. I needed it that day.
And maybe you did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe you did.
But making a plan is the key.
Right.
Focus on what you can control.
So financially, what can we control? We can control seeking out additional income streams.
Mm-hmm.
Like taking pictures of your feet and posting them on the internet.
Hey,
Just
you
kidding.
do you. You do you.
Although every time I see one of those reels, I'm like, it doesn't look that hard. I just got a pedicure.
Yeah.
So seeking out additional income streams, negotiating expenses.
Yes.
Where can you cut back? Where are you willing to cut back? What else can we control? Spending habits, saving strategies. You can dwell on your external factors until your head pops off. But really, what is that doing for you?
Yep. What can you control in this moment? What can you purge in this moment? How can you make money in this moment? Yeah. We just sold our dining room chairs today. So we got new dining room chairs. I thought they were going to be so expensive, but Amazon, they really weren't that bad. And then I sold the ones that we have on Facebook Marketplace for more than the ones that I bought. So I made money on refreshing my kitchen, which is like really fun. Hey,
she's
look
a
around.
master. She's a master.
Look around.
Yeah.
Look around. What can you control?
And
there's so many ways.
And you can start with tiny things. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I have to get an entire other career that's going to pay me more. There are tiny little things. And do what we do with everything. Put it in ChatGPT.
Yes.
What are 10 small ways that I can change my spending habits? What are 10 small ways that I can earn money on the side?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What are 5 websites that are offering part-time remote jobs? ChatGPT will find all the answers for you.
Yes.
So focus on what you can control. Figure out where you're bleeding from.
And stop the bleeding.
Put a temporary Band-Aid on it in that moment.
Maybe it's just like a tiny Paw Patrol Band-Aid, like the ones that I wear, and it really isn't going to help that much, but it's going to help a little bit.
It's going to make you feel better.
It's going to make
You're going to look at it and know that you did something for yourself.
Yes, you triaged in some way.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So focus on what you can control. Next one, seek social support.
Yeah,
and
don't hide in the darkness.
Do not. Seek the right social support, I also think is a good add to that. There are people who will not understand where you're coming from, and that might be the stem of some of your anxiety. And there are people that will understand what you're coming from. There are so many Facebook groups out there. There are so many anonymous groups out there that you can ask questions to and get feedback and get support if that's what you need to start. Be anonymous. That's fine. Absolutely. Call into a radio station, whatever you got to do. Delilah will walk you through it if you need her. But seeking social support is huge. Absolutely huge. There are a couple things that when I was in credit card debt, and I know my dad will listen to this because he listens to every episode.
Hey, Mr. Smyers.
Yeah. And I know I'm going to get a text whenever this airs. I don't like to talk to my parents about credit card debt because they're never in credit card debt and they never will be in credit card debt.
Same. My dad is a financial controller of a company. Yep. He is an accountant. It's just not who I'm going to.
They don't get it and they don't understand, and that's fine. More power to you. So if you're someone that has parents like that or family or friends or husbands or anything, wives, all of it, partners, know your audience. And it's still okay that people have different methods towards life. You're not going to go talk to a vegan about the butcher shop. You're not. So that doesn't mean it's not the best butcher shop in town and you're getting the best cut of meat. They won't get it or understand. And that's fine. You're both good. You're both doing the best you can for yourselves. Someone that uses credit card to leverage their debt, to get travel points, to grow a business, to get through a stage of life. That doesn't mean that if somebody else doesn't do that, that they're right at all.
And forgive.
It's different for everyone.
And allow yourself to not follow the guru that doesn't resonate with you.
Yes.
There is one person that everybody follows that he just grinds my gears.
Dave Ramsey.
I cannot with this man. And then I felt guilty. I was like, he has all these books and all these people like follow him and agree with his strategies. And I'm sure it's one of those things where you have to eat the meat and spit out the bones. Like it doesn't apply to you. I can't even have an appetizer.
Absolutely. My parents love Dave Ramsey.
So does my dad.
I think Dave Ramsey is so good for certain people and is so not for other people. And that's fine. And for me, I can take a little bit, I can leave a little bit. So I think he has a lot of great tips for getting out of debt if you're somebody that has a lot of control and your partner is on the exact same page as you. You have to be, and you have to be a team if you're going through his methods. You can't have any kind of miscommunication if you're going through Dave Ramsey's stuff. It has to be a very clear-cut plan, and some people need that, and some people thrive on that. You might be one of those people, and good for you. Everybody should look and see, because again, it's a very clear resource. They have tons of free resources available. And if he doesn't resonate with you,
10 books, I'll sell you.
Yeah. If he doesn't resonate with you, there are other people out there too. But he is the loudest one. But that doesn't mean it's the right fit for you.
And that's the whole point of seeking your social support. You are an individual who has individual needs, and not everybody is going to meet them. So you have to know who your trusted people are. And if it's not working, then you just close up shop and you move on. You don't have to spill your guts to somebody you don't trust.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that goes with anything.
There's a lot of Facebook groups out there. There's a lot of social groups out there. There's a lot of people out there. And so for this, find somebody that resonates with you on other key issues that's maybe in a similar or was in a similar situation in terms of outward appearance in a way. Maybe they have the same job as you. Maybe they live in the same town as you or area as you. Do they have similar vehicles that you have? Do they have a similar family style that you have? Thinking about where they came from and that they walked a similar path to you can kind of align maybe what your needs were. But also, you don't know if that person was the beneficiary of a will. You don't know if that person left a relationship that was a bad relationship, that you can still be on very different paths and look exactly the same. But seeing people that you connect with in terms of where you want to be at in life and how they got there, I think is always a good place to start.
Yeah, I think that's great. So then the
final two are these ones.
Go for it.
Practicing mindfulness and stress reduction techniques. Yoga for some people. Yoga stresses me out sometimes. Yeah, boxing. Exactly. Golf. That's mine.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Crying
sometimes it's the opposite. Reading is definitely mine. Hiding
in my closet is yours are all like really healthy and mine are like
reading. I'm like fantasy fiction reading. It's not like it's like always business reading.
Giving that brain a break. But I think any of the techniques that help you in regular stress situations can also help you with financial stress. Different mindfulness and stress reduction, and practicing the self-compassion.
Yeah, that's the last one we had. Is
forgive yourself for mistakes that you've made. You did the best that you could. Move forward with what you can and what you know at the time. And then positive self-talk, if this is for you. Vision boarding, if this is for you. Vision boarding for me is like waterboarding. They are synonymous. I don't want to do it. Maybe I should try it. I don't know. But
mantras. We talked about our mantras and
our episode on mantras.
Put them everywhere.
Yeah. But recognizing that you're not alone and you're not the only person who might be drowning in financial stress. And it's temporary.
I just kind of had a light bulb pop up for me. When I feel really stressed about things and I feel like nothing is in my control and I don't know what to do, what you need to do is learn what to do. When you don't know what to do, you need to learn what to do. It's a very simple step from here to there. How do you learn? Is it listening to podcasts? Is it reading books? Is it watching YouTube videos? Is it talking to people? How do you learn? And if you are an adult listening to this podcast, or if you're a child, that's fine. A kid too, that's fine. But you need to know how you learn. That's like 101. We should probably do an episode on that. You need to know how you learn. And so figure out how you learn and absorb the content that way. So don't worry if the Dave Ramsey books don't resonate with you. You might like the Financial Feminist and her podcast. You might like Jen Sincero's You're a Badass at Making Money on the Instagram account page, or her book, or a YouTube video of somebody else summarizing the book. You need to figure out how you learn and absorb the content to learn. That's what I do when I'm stressed, and nothing lights me up more than finding a solution to the problem that I have. And then planning it all out in Excel.
And of course, if you need help, if you feel lost, if you resonate with one of us, you can always reach out at info@knowyourworth and ask to have a deeper conversation and see what that looks like.
Definitely.
So please follow our whole series this month. We're going to try to hit on a lot of helpful stuff. If you have questions or things that you want us to talk about, reach out. We're here.
Definitely. Take a deep breath.
It's going to be all right.
Yeah, you're going to get through it.
Yep.
See you next week.
Bye.
If you found a bit of inspiration in this episode for achieving your sexy money goals, click the subscribe button on your favorite podcast app or YouTube so that you never miss an episode.